Yes, I just accepted a letter called to East Hawaii and Kauai, and it's not as glamorous as it might sound, because I'll be doing it from Phoenix. I know. So, and I will be invited to go and speak, and I'll teach classes online and things like that. But I am still very excited about it. It is with Reverend Beverly Strutt, who has been a great friend of mine, and she was visiting in Phoenix, and we were talking, and I told her, well, right now I don't have a letter of call, and she said, well, you do now. And so I'm very grateful for that, and very grateful to be asked back here to CSL Prescott, and grateful to Reverend Tracy. Thank you so much for inviting me back. And I have got whoever you are out there that is we call them PITs in Phoenix, which is practitioners in training. And I have a special place in my heart for those of you. Who are you? Who are you? So I have a special place in my heart for you, because this process of becoming a practitioner might even be more significant than becoming a minister. The minister is more about there's a little bit of bureaucracy moving through the process, but to become a practitioner, it's like being torn down and then being rebuilt back up into your soul. I know there's one that's nodding at me right now. Bless you on your journey. I know you're going to be magnificent practitioners and a gift to this center. So I love that. Let's give them a round of applause. So I have a story to start with about Abraham Lincoln. And it goes like this. Asked at the height of the Civil War if he was not losing his faith in the Union, President Abraham Lincoln replied, "When I was a young man in Illinois, I boarded for a time with a deacon of the Presbyterian Church. One night I was roused from my sleep by a rap at the door, and I heard the deacon's voice exclaiming, 'Arise, Abraham, the day of judgment has come.'" And what the deacon was mistakenly referring to were the Leonid meteor showers that happen in mid-November every year. And Lincoln goes on to say, "I sprang from my bed and rushed to the window, and I saw the stars falling in great showers. But looking back at them in the heavens, I saw the grand old constellations with which I was so well acquainted, fixed and true in their places. Gentlemen, the world did not come to an end then, nor will the Union now." And I bring this story up because it is our work right now, in the midst of what we are experiencing on this planet, to be able to see through the fireworks and all of the stuff that is going around, seeing through that and into the constellations of principle, and to see that always as a fixed location, as something that is law, as something that we can always lean into when things seem to be at unrest. And most of us, and I definitely include myself in this statement, are caught up in this shower of confusion and chaos that is wrapped up with so many different opportunities to isolate and to become divided in our lives. We have examples every single day in the media and everywhere else, and I certainly will not get into that. But the question is, for me as a minister, how do I be with this? Where do I step in, and how do I be with people? And the same question is absolutely relevant for everybody here. Those of you that have stepped into this philosophy, how can we be in the midst of what appears to be chaos and be at peace within ourselves? So today, the name of the title of my talk is From Duality to Divinity, because what I'm thinking about, when I was thinking about this talk the last couple of months, I've had a little while to sit with this talk, that the world is just nutty right now. And so I wanted to, not to bring it to your attention, because you're very well aware that it's a little bit of a nutty place right now. And so I'm going to be talking about duality, of course, or really the illusion of duality and how it interweaves this idea of separation with everything that we do. And then I'm gently going to be coming into this thing that we call divinity, or cultivating that divine spirit within us, especially when times seem to be in that place of unrest. So I'll begin with the definition. This is from a book called No Boundaries by Ken Wilber, who defines duality and certainly is perfect for the context of this talk. He says, duality is the perception that we are separate from each other, from the divine, and even from our true nature. It is rooted in the mind's tendency to label and categorize, and it thrives on opposites, creating a framework of either or that pits one aspect of life against the other. Now, I will acknowledge that duality has its place for us as we navigate this earth. For example, hot and cold, and safety and danger, but it becomes a barrier in many instances of our spiritual growth. So, for example, how duality sets in. I am separate from others. I am of an island in my own, and sometimes I get to connect with others, but I still feel like I'm an entity of my own. Another one is, God is out there, and I am down here. There is that dude in the sky, which we always refer to when we are explaining the nature of the God that we connect with, but that there is an entity up there, up above, a man looking down with his arms crossed, doling out either judgment or rewards based on how we act. There's another example. Another is that this is sacred and this is secular. So this part, when I am meditating and when I'm in contemplation and when I am speaking an affirmative prayer, oh, it is so sacred. But when I am on the freeway, navigating during traffic or rush hour, I fall into that human response of irritation and anger. And so you know what I mean. We have separated these two things. And one of the best metaphors that I came across as I was researching this talk, it is that of a prism. And I'm going to ask you just to close your eyes and think about a prism. When the light comes in and through it, when the light passes through it, the light appears to split into different colors, forming the rainbow, the reds, the yellows, the purples, violets, and they seem distinct in and of themselves, even disconnected, but in truth, they are part of the same original light. And the same thing goes with duality. Duality works much in the same way, that it fractures our perception, making us believe that we are separate from each other, separate from the divine. But just like the colors of the rainbow, we are all expressions of that infinite source. And this begs the question, what if there was no divide? What if separation itself is the greatest lie that we have ever believed in? It boggles the mind just to think about it, and I make it sound a little bit dramatic because in a way, in the absoluteness of it, it is a core of our principle that we are united, that we are one. But I'm going to ask again for us all to really consider it. What if there was no separation from me and you? From me and Mel, from me and Clay, from me and Bob, from us and life, from us and nature, from us and this earth, from us and the universe. And this drives the questions that will be the most important question that I ask this morning. And that is, if I knew that I was one, how would I be with others? How would I be with myself? How would I be with this planet Earth? And how would I commune with God? It totally shifts for us, I think, or at least it does for me. When I think of it from that perspective, it totally shifts how I interact with the people that I love, the people that I'm surrounded by, and the earth that surrounds me. And so, how do we shift into a place of knowing at our core that that is the truth of who we are? And I was thinking about this yesterday, this transition in my talk, and I was thinking that it's kind of like a 12-step program, where the first thing that we have to do is to admit that we have a problem. And so, hi, my name is Jeff, and I have a separation problem. Yay. You've been to the meeting. Recognizing this illusion of duality is the first step. But then what? How do we move simply by, ooh, wow, that's a loud one. How do we move through this and into the lens of unity in us? I like to think, so I had sort of a metaphor for duality. I like to think of our unity as a river, always flowing, always connected. The river doesn't force itself to be whole, it simply is. But along the way, debris can collect, branches can fall in, boulders can even slip from the mountainside and splash into the river itself. But these are momentary, this is a momentary disruption of the flow. And eventually, over time, the current carries the debris away, returning the river to its natural state of movement and harmony. And just like the river, our experience of unity can sometimes be obstructed by resentment, by judgment, by the belief that we are separate, but unity is never lost. It's only obscured, and our work to be done is to find those things that are obscuring it and to reveal the truth of who we are. So how do we do this? How do we allow the river of spirit, the river of our spiritual nature to flow freely in our lives? Well, I've got 3 suggestions for us, and I know that you could think of hundreds of others, but these are just the ones that I had meditated over. The first is practicing active compassion, because compassion dissolves our it dissolves duality in every sense. It dissolves this idea of separation. And when we truly see others through that lens of compassion, we recognize their struggles and their joys as our own, as reflections of our own. But this isn't just about feeling the feelings for somebody else. It is about acting in a way that acknowledges our shared humanity. Number 2, see the divine in all things. Unity becomes clear when we consciously look for the divine in others. It's the same thing that we do at the end of every single meditation that we participate in. What do? We say, so it is, namaste. Namaste being the divine in me sees the divine in you. I know you already know that. And whether it is with a loved one or a stranger or somebody that is at the side of the road with a cardboard box with a sign on the cardboard box, whether it is that individual that seems to be sharing more of the road than we are, whether it is with someone that we love deeply or somebody who challenges us. If we can ask ourselves that question, what is the divine in this individual expressing? And it doesn't come from a place of, what is he trying to express? It's more of that place of curiosity of, what is it that the divine is working in and through him? The third one, serve from a place of oneness. Service is one of the most powerful ways to break the illusion of duality. But I want to be clear with this part of it. We are not here to serve people we're not here to help or to fix anybody when we are in service. When we say that we are helping, what that sets up, in my mind, is sort of a structure of hierarchy that somehow the recipient is incurring some debt in this process of serving them. And when we say that we are here to fix something, the truth of that is that we're saying that I don't believe that you're whole, perfect, and complete. But when we are serving from that place of that equality, and that the divine in me is serving the divine in you, something absolutely shifts. It is a mindset of shared wholeness, that we see that there is no giver and no receiver, but only the divine in circulation. So when I was in my early 20s, this was kind of like that time in my life where it's coming of age for me, and a lot of defining moments that set the stage for the trajectory of where I am now as a minister. So when I was a real gem back then. And I remember we were coming up on Thanksgiving, and the only thing that was going through my mind is, we typically have Thanksgiving dinner with my family, and the only thing that was going through my mind is, how can I get out of this? How can I get out of going to dinner with my family? And please know that this is not a reflection of my family, more about where I was in my life and just not wanting to share any of that. So I came up with a brilliant idea. I decided that I was going to sign up to serve in the soup kitchen in Phoenix. Not only was this an amazing excuse to get out of Thanksgiving dinner, but I kind of looked like a hero while I'm doing it too. And so that's what I did. I signed up for a soup kitchen, and it was the first time that I ever served in that way or volunteered in that way. It's called Andre House, a wonderful place, and you are familiar with it. And so I got there, and I remember getting out of my car and walking through a pool of people. They were homeless, and I was terrified. I was thinking, number one, geez, did I lock my car? And there was just a lot of judgment going on and a lot of fear going on through it, just walking through the pool of people that were waiting for food. And so I got in there, and we started our work. It was about noon, and I remember the first thing for me to do was to prep the food, start prepping food. We were making a goulash, and so I found myself just loving the conversation that I was having with fellow volunteers and really kind of getting into the spirit of the whole thing. And then my second job was I was behind the counter as the folks came in and sort of sidestepped with their trays, and I would scoop up the goulash and put it on there. And I went through probably about half the folks there when I started recognizing that every one of them was saying, "Thank you so much." Every one of them said the same gracious connection, and it started to have some effect on me. And then after that was finished, my last job was I was to stand by, in the cafeteria, I was to stand by the trash can, and every person would come up, hand me their tray, and my job was to bash it against the trash can and then put it in the window that was behind me, which led to a industrial dishwasher. Okay, so I specifically intended that I was going to connect with every single person that came up to me, because I was really filled full by that time, and I really wanted to connect on that level. And it was one of the most amazing transformations that I've ever had, because with each person that came up, there was a sense of deep gratitude both for me and for them. One of them even said, "Hey, I was on your side just a couple of months ago." And so there was just such a feeling of connection, and looking into the eyes of the individuals that were coming up to me, seeing God, seeing myself, and knowing that as I serve this person, I serve myself, and I serve the collective whole. And so I have some invitations for us today. A talk would not be complete without invitations for us. And I have three points. Apparently 3 is the number of bullet points that I have for everything. This week, I'm inviting us to reach out to one person that you know that may be in isolation. And I want you just to think about that for a second. Who is it that you would connect? And it is just to offer an act of kindness with no expectation, with no agenda, just love. The second invitation is to try silently blessing every person that you encounter today. Think to yourself, the divine in me sees the divine in you, and that there is something special that is going on regardless of what it is that they are expressing. There is divinity within that person. And last, getting the opportunity to serve, whether it's volunteering or lending a hand, or simply listening, be fully present. See the exchange not as you helping them, but as the sacred meeting of the souls. So from Ken Wilber, in that same book that I was mentioning, he says, when the Eastern sage says that all things are void, or all things are not two, or all things are interpenetrating, she does not mean to deny differences, to overlook individuality, or to see the world as homogeneous junk. The world contains all types of features and surfaces and lines, but they are all interwoven into a seamless field. And I am reminded by that quote, the mystic, I'm forgetting his name, you'll know the quote, when he says, Oh my God. Rumi, yes, thank you. Who said that? Awesome. When he said, beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field, and I will meet you there. And so, as we go forth today, may you carry that awareness with you in every act of kindness, in every moment of connection. And may we see past the prism's colors to the light that binds us all. And may we know deeply, deep within, that we are one. Namaste. So it is. And so let's take this into prayer, recognizing that there is an infinite truth that is here and now. It is that divine unity that exists with each one of us, like the breath that I breathe, becoming part of who I am, is everything that surrounds me. It is a part of my expression. It is a part of my being. There is no separation. Only the truth that unity and oneness are here and now. And what I know coming from this place of one, that I act in such a way that supports, that loves, that guides, that brings to light this idea of that infinite one expressing in and through itself and in and through me. It is my nature to know, to be, to share, to have. And so I also bless this amazing, awesome community, knowing that Centers for Spiritual Living Prescott is in their perfect place in their perfect time, and knowing that Reverend Tracy is getting that respite and is just in her perfect place as well. And I know with each breath that I take that all is well and all is good. And with that absolute gratitude that fills my soul here and now, I release this word. I release it in faith. And together we know this truth by saying, and so it is, amen.